Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new here. Today's video is probably going to be a little short and sweet. I am currently pre-filming this because I have a tattoo appointment and I'm going to be knocked on my ass for a few days. So I figured I would just pre-film this now so that I have something out for you guys. And then I will be back to be in top performance, I guess, once I get a few days of rest. So today's video, I am just going to talk, and I'm going to talk about the first time that I can recall actually seeing a spirit. I've talked about it kind of a lot in some of my videos that I have been experiencing paranormal things from a very, very young age, and that is because it's true. And I can remember my first couple of paranormal experiences and I was like 4. So I was very little, and that's not to say that I didn't necessarily have them before that, but my first memories of it happening was when I was about 4 or 5 years old. So yeah, it's been a really long time. It's been like 20 years of paranormal stuff happening because as of this video being recorded, or well, this video being posted, I will officially be 25. And so the first time that I can recall actually understanding that I was seeing something paranormal and experiencing something paranormal was when I saw my aunt for the first time. And what I mean by that is when I was little, my aunt was actually diagnosed with cancer. She passed away, and my dad got the phone call that had happened. And I remember being told, like, it wasn't a secret, and my parents didn't hide it from me or try to explain it in like any way other than your aunt has passed away. We got the phone call, and I remember being really, really, really upset because I, as a child, and even still now, family is super important to me. I love being connected to my family. I love being able to FaceTime with my sister and see my nephew grow up because we do live so far apart. I remember being in bed, and the way that my parents' house was set up was that my room was at the top of the stairs, and it was across from my sister's room, but we had like half of the house. So you like walked up the stairs, and then there was almost a catwalk that split the two halves of the house, and then it was an open viewing down into the living room. So my sister and I both had our rooms off to the right of the staircase, and then my parents' bedroom, our bathroom, and the laundry room was all on the left of the catwalk. And I remember laying in bed, and at this point I was 5 because it was after March, so my birthday had already happened. And I remember laying in bed, and I wasn't terribly traumatized at this point. Like I got upset the day that I found out and the day that it happened, and I dealt with it and I moved on as best as I could. And I remember looking up because I felt somebody walk into my room. And at this point, I couldn't see anybody walking into my room, but I could feel somebody walk into my room. And I felt somebody walk into my room, and I felt this presence that felt really familiar and really calming and really soothing come over to the side of my bed and just kind of be there for a couple of minutes. And then when I finally decided to roll over, I looked as I watched my aunt fully materialize in a white dress. And then I watched her start to walk out of my room. And I knew it was her. Like, there was no doubt in my mind that was my aunt standing at the top of the stairs. And so I actually got up out of bed, walked all the way through my bedroom to my door, and followed my aunt down the stairs and watched her walk down the 2 flights of stairs and disappear at the bottom. And I remember as she got to the bottom of the stairs, she turned around and she looked at me and she just smiled and she said, "Everything will be fine," and disappeared. And at this point, I think it was like maybe midnight. And of course, my dad's like sitting on the couch and he looks at me and he's like, "Why are you up? What's going on? Are you okay?" And I looked at him and I said, like, "No, it's fine. Like, I need a cup of water." So I like totally played it off, didn't really think anything of it. And I walked into the kitchen and got my cup of water and went back upstairs and ended up falling asleep right away. And the next morning I went downstairs, and I had always heard my dad talk about how he loved the paranormal, and like we used to stay up and watch paranormal shows together. So I felt pretty okay talking to him and just kind of saying like, this is what I experienced. So I sat down on the couch and I said, "Dad, like, I think I saw Auntie Becky last night." And he kind of looked at me and he's like, "What do you mean?" And I said, like, I literally saw Auntie Becky in my bedroom, and that's why I walked down the stairs. I was following her down the stairs. And he looked at me and he said, "Oh." And like, that was the only reaction. My dad is a man of many words. And the only thing to come out of his mouth was, "Oh." Like, that was it. And he didn't discredit it. He didn't say that he didn't believe me. He didn't give me a hard time. He just kind of said, "Okay." And it wasn't until probably 8 years later, we were looking through old photos and we found a picture of my aunt in her wedding dress. And I looked at my dad and I said, "Dad, remember when I said I saw Auntie Becky like all those years ago?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I said, "That's the dress she was wearing." At that point, when I was 4 years old, I had never seen a picture of my aunt in a wedding dress. And my aunt got married before I was born, so I didn't even go to her wedding. Like, I had no reason to even picture my aunt in that specific dress at all. But it was very clearly my aunt in her wedding dress. And I think looking back on it, and every time I do think about that encounter and that experience, it always makes me so happy that she was so content and so happy when I saw her. Her husband had passed away the year that I was born, so I met him when I was like a baby, and then he passed away quite soon after I met him for the first time. So he died the year I was born, and then she lived for another 4 years after that. And it just made me feel really happy to know that they were back together again. They were, by all accounts, from every story I've ever heard, absolutely perfect together. They had a lot of fun together. And it just made me happy that she came and actually presented herself to me and said, like, "It's okay. Like, we're all okay. Everything's going to be fine. Everything will be okay." I know my dad was really stressing out about everything at the time because my aunt died down south. And then he still had to get there, and he wanted to see, you know, what he could get for all of us kids so that we could remember her and, you know, get us all of those items. So it was a very stressful time for the entire family. And because I am so empathetic and very much a feeler, I knew that there was a lot of stress levels going through our household. And so I could feel that a lot. And I feel like that compounded with just me still processing as a 4-year-old that my aunt had died, probably just all didn't help the fact that I wasn't sleeping that night. But it wasn't like I was overtired or unrested or anything like that. So it makes me really happy to know that she just took the time to come in and say that everything was okay. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I have plenty more stories to tell you guys, but I would love to hear your stories about the first time that you experienced something paranormal and when you first realized that maybe there is something beyond what we can see and what we actually know about. Leave that down below in the comments. If you haven't already, please give this video a big thumbs up. It makes me super, super happy when you do. And don't forget, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. I do upload every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.